Hello, beautiful souls. Namaste. I can't do my hand thing because I'm holding the camera. I was crying, so if you're wondering why my eyes look a little watery, that's why. I was meditating and getting some downloads that were very emotional. And this is kind of a follow up to the video I did today. I did an energy oracle reading. It was about transformation, the transformation that many of you are going through. So, what I want to speak on and what was coming through in the download is something we need to be mindful of. Either it's important to know for ourselves if we are going through this, or if you know somebody going through this, is that when they're going through a spiritual transformation, your ego is going through, they call it an ego death. But we have to remember that death is transformation. It's not that your ego dies and ceases to exist, it's that it transforms. And so, as this process is happening, your ego up until this point has been formed out of a need to protect you. And all of your beliefs and everything that you chose to believe as truth for yourself have been mainly given to you through your upbringing. You know, your parents' beliefs, your religious beliefs, societal beliefs have all been given to you. Many of you have not even questioned if everything that you believe to be truth is truly what you believe to be truth. And so when you go through this spiritual transformation, that's going to get challenged. And sometimes there's going to be people brought into your life. Now these are people that on a soul level you made a soul contract with to have these catalytic moments with. Okay? Sometimes they're meant to be in your life for a very long season and sometimes for a very short season. But these are people that are going to come in and they're going to challenge you. They're going to hold a mirror up to you in order to help you kind of wake up and see the things that you need to address within yourself. And as you're doing this, this process is very uncomfortable. Because you're going within and you're fighting with your ego. Your ego does not completely understand what is happening. Okay? And so it decides it's going to fight for dear life. And what that means for the ego is that it's going to hold on to the patterns and the beliefs that it's had because that's what feels safe and comfortable. Change and anything new feels threatening. It's false fear because it's not rooted in real danger. It's perceived danger because it's threatening to dismantle everything about you. I'm saying the tower in my mind's eye, which I think came out in that reading. So as you are being confronted with all this internal stuff going on, you might be faced with making decisions, important decisions about yourself, about relationships, about jobs, about family. And because you're in the middle of a transformation, the part of you that's trying to heal, the part of you that's connected to source, connected to your higher self, is going to be quietly trying to guide you. But your ego is going to be flipping out. No, don't do that. That's dangerous. That's scary. We don't know what's going to happen. What if we go that way and it goes wrong and something bad happens? And fear, 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 fear. That's what's going to happen. The fear is going to escalate because the ego is starting to lose its grip. It's starting to dissolve. And it doesn't want to go down without a fight. So as this is happening internally, it's scary. You are being asked to make different decisions in your life than what you're used to doing. You're being asked to think differently than you're used to thinking. You're being asked to move differently than you're used to moving. And your soul is pushing you to do it. And your ego is pushing back. And so for many of you on this journey, this will be a cycle a few times. Not everyone gets it right the first time. Not everyone, and I don't mean right because it's not right or wrong, but not everyone has the strength yet to overcome their ego. And so this may look like repeated patterns. It may also look like losing things in your life, losing people, losing situations, losing opportunities out of fear. Because even though your soul is stirring and your higher self is trying to talk to you through your intuition, because you're still in the midst of all this journey and your strength isn't built up yet, your ego is fighting back. It's pushing back. But the good news is, at this point in the journey, you've become self-aware. And this is the importance of really strengthening your inner self-talk. Because what you have to understand is that ego that's telling you in your voice, because when you're hearing it in your own voice. You have to step into the role of your healed self, because the future version of you that's on this journey is healed. And that's the version of you right now that is your guide. It's you. It's the future version of you. It's your higher self speaking to you. You need to step into that energy when your ego gets out of control. And you need to calmly speak to your ego and say, I know you're scared. I know we're scared. And I know we feel justified in that because in the past, XYZ. But we're breaking those patterns now. We're not going to repeat those patterns. We're not going to have the same outcomes, because when you do the same thing over and over and you get the same results, that's the definition of insanity. How do we change that? We do things differently. This time, we're choosing to heal. This time, we're choosing to love ourselves. We don't want to keep pushing people away. We don't want to keep losing opportunities. So this time, we're not going to go the route of negativity. We're not going to go the route of fear. We're going to try something different, because we already know what happens when we go that route. Everything's blocked. Everything stops. We're going to try something different. And this is you talking to your ego. It's okay that we're scared, because this is something new and different that we're trying. But that doesn't mean it's going to end up bad. The truth is, we don't know how it's going to end up. But just as much as it could end up bad, it could end up good. So why don't we give it a fair chance? Let's try something new this time. Let's be brave. Let's have courage. And if we feel there's a potential for something bad to happen, let's just be prepared for that. That doesn't mean we have to be afraid of it and not do it. I like to say, hope for the best, prepare for the worst. You know, when people go into battle, they don't know if they're going to win or lose. They're hopeful that they're going to win, but they prepare for battle, knowing that there's a potential they're going to lose. And loss, you're not losing when you make choices in life. Everything is an opportunity to learn and grow. And that's the other thing that's going to shift for you on this journey, that your ego is going to begin to learn, is that the reason we don't have to be afraid anymore, we don't have to see everything as a threat, is because everything that we manifest into our reality can be a lesson or a blessing. We can learn and grow from it. So even if something happens that's not comfortable, that doesn't mean it has to be categorized as bad. It just means, okay, I had this experience. What can I learn from this? So I have the knowledge going forward to maybe not repeat the pattern, or to be better prepared, or whatever the case may be. So I feel for many of you, you're at this, hold on, I'm going to have to pause. My alarm was going off. I think many of you are at a point in your journey where you are beginning your transformation and your ego is flipping out. You are at a point in your journey where you're having to make some pretty big decisions, and it's scaring you, because that's what ego, before we go through these transformations, our ego kind of just lives in fear. That's like its default mode. And that's because you haven't quite tuned into divine love yet. Once you tune into that divine love, and I talked about this on the previous message, once you tune into that divine love, you start to get courage, courage and strength that you need on this journey. And eventually, when your ego starts to see that it's not as scary as it was making it out to be, it will start to trust the process, and the transformation will continue. And eventually you get to the point where your ego is no longer living in fear. It still has discernment. If I'm walking along and I see a snake in the middle of the road, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not afraid, and pick it up. But you're going to have discernment instead of fear, which is a much more healthy way to live. Because fear can keep us from really beautiful people and opportunities in our life. So yeah, I just want to bring that message, because I feel like people maybe don't always understand what an ego death is and what it feels like. And it is scary, because you are going to be challenged, and your ego is going to freak out, and it's going to be like, what's happening? Why am I thinking this? Why am I feeling this way? Why is this happening? And especially if you're being faced with major decisions, oh, thank you, Spirit. Your ego is going to want to default to old patterns of behavior, because that is what feels comfortable. But your soul is pushing you to break those patterns. Thank you, Spirit. Your ego's like, no, 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 no. We're going to do it this way because that's what's safe. This is what keeps us safe. But your soul is saying, but that hasn't been working. Please trust us and let us guide you to a better way of living. Because when you're going through this transformation and you start tapping in, you're tapping into the divine. What is the divine? The divine is what created all of this. I think you can trust it. And we kind of have to remind our ego that, like, hey, you're seeing things from a human limited perspective. The divine created all of this. The divine loves me, loves us. I think we can trust that the divine wants what's best for us. And that if the divine is guiding us in a certain direction, we can trust that. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay. I think the message is done. Thank you all for hanging out. I hope this message helps. It's kind of a compliment message to the previous one. So if this resonated, I encourage you to watch the previous message about transformation. It's where I did an energy reading. Okay? I hope you all have a wonderful day. Namaste.